Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Young Billionaire, Season 2, Episode 13, He is Really Rich.
Jeff, are you okay?
Diane asked, raising her head to look at him. Jeff felt a little touched. She was the one who had been hit, and yet she was asking about him. Emily sighed deeply.
You're really going to make us angry.
They had attracted a large crowd who were eagerly watching them and commenting on this strange family.
This man begs for money and he has the nerve to seduce my daughter?
Emily said to the crowd.
My daughter has never argued with us before. See how she's talking to us now.
Such a useless boy,
Someone said.
You have to get rid of him.
Someone else said.
He just need her for the money.
Everyone stared at Jeff's, while Emily pointed at him. Jeff's phone rang. It was Albert Miller, the manager at Metro Bank. Diane let go of him, and he answered the call.
Hello, Mr. Miller.
He said.
Is this about the compensation for the Ferrari?
He thought Albert might be calling to ask about the compensation for wrecking Blake Evans' car.
No, I'm taking care of it, don't worry.
Albert said respectfully.
I'm calling you to let you know that I've found 2 apartment buildings for you to look at. The location is desirable and the properties are in good condition. I've collected all the information for you.
Apartment buildings?
Jeff asked, stunned.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Why was Albert helping him find apartment buildings?
You don't know?
Albert asked, surprised.
Let me explain. When Kyle Sanchez asked me to help you with the final payment for the Ferrari, he told me to look for apartment buildings in New York City. You said that you wanted to invest in New York real estate.
Oh, I see.
Jeff understood Kyle had been helping him to manage his business, and he had suggested that Jeff find some projects and learn from experience. After all, he would be taking over a large part of his family's business in the future. He glanced at Diane's family, who was glaring at him, and he knew they were listening intently.
Okay, well, in that case, can I trouble you to bring the documents to the restaurant at the Palace Hotel in Wanda Plaza?
Jeff asked politely, and then ended the call.
That was Mr. Miller?
Diane asked, a little worried. Mr. Miller thought she was sick. If he came to the hotel, he would see her there and know that she had lied. Jeff nodded.
Then I have to go.
She said.
Don't let him see me.
She prepared to leave.
Where do you think you're going?
Emily asks, pulling her back.
I don't know what's going on here, but this matter must be resolved today.
Mom, Mr. Miller is coming.
Diane said anxiously.
You have to let me go.
Diane, with the way you've been behaving lately, do you really think I'll believe you?
Emily asked, looking at her. Then she glanced at Jeff.
He knows your manager, who would believe that he can afford an apartment building.
Maybe I'm very good at acting.
Jeff suggested. This family left him speechless.
Diane, stop causing trouble.
Jessa said, moving to stand in front of her. They had agreed to use Jeff to provoke James, but now Diane seemed to have changed the plan. If Diane continued like this, then she would lose James for good.
Behave yourself.
Jessa said.
I'm sure that if you apologize to James, then he'll forgive you.
She tried her best to smooth things over.
Don't get involved, Jessa.
Diane said, extremely unhappy with her cousin for constantly ruining her plans.
I love Jeff, not James.
Jessa had no idea what was wrong with her cousin.
It was all Jeff's fault.
Jessa thought.
Jeff!
Jessa said angrily, stalking over to him.
How did you do it? Have you hypnotized my cousin? Do you think you're good enough for Diane? Don't you care about her future? Promise me right now that you will end your relationship with her.
She had never had a problem ordering Jeff around. Usually Jeff would let Jessa win, but this time he couldn't do it. With Diane's parents treating him so badly, he had no intention of giving in to them. More importantly, he had promised to help Diane get rid of James, and if he gave in now, all their efforts would be for nothing. Diane didn't like James, and Jeff wasn't going to abandon her to him. He turned a deaf ear to Jessa's words.
Stupid loser! Are you deaf?
Jessa shouted at him. She frowned and raised her hand to slap his face. She had slapped him in the past and he hadn't fought back. But this time, Jeff grabbed her hand.
Don't even think about it.
Jeff said with dissatisfaction.
Let go, you loser.
Jessa hadn't expected him to grab her. She took her hand furiously, but she couldn't dislodge him. She was so angry that she raised her other hand to slap him, but he caught it too.
Let go.
She yelled, both embarrassed and angry. She glared at him with a cold expression.
I'll let you go as soon as you promise not to hit me again.
He said seriously.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Jessa asked, refusing to give in.
Help.
She screamed.
This guy's molesting me. I need.
While Jeff was distracted, she bit his hand.
Ouch.
Jeff yelled and let go. A circle of teeth marks had appeared on his palm when she had bitten him, and the wound was bleeding profusely. Jessa proudly stood in front of him, looking at his hand.
Did you enjoy my bite?
She taunted him.
It would be better if you'd bitten him to death.
Emily said in a mocking tone. Diane rushed Jeff's side and examined his wound with a pained expression.
That's Mr. Miller?
Jessa said, her smile fading away as she saw Albert walk into the restaurant.
What? Where? Oh no, it really is him.
Emily exclaimed in shock. The whole family began to panic as they all understood how much trouble Diane would be in if she were caught lying about being sick.
Diane, why are you just standing there?
Emily said.
Hurry up and hide. Your manager is here.
There's no need for her to hide.
Jeff said lightly, but Diane wasn't listening to her mother anyway.
No need to hide?
Emily scolded him angrily.
My daughter could lose out on her promotion, not that you care.
She scowled.
Diane, do you see what kind of person he is? Don't just stand there. Hide. It's too late.
Jessa said with her eyes wide.
Mr. Miller is coming this way.
Mr. Florento.
Albert said as he walked over, surprised to see Diane there.
Miss Gonzalez, didn't you call in sick this morning?
Having been caught, Diane didn't know how to defend herself. She simply lowered her head and stood silently beside Jeff.
Mr. Miller, I'm Diane's mother.
Emily said.
Diane was recovering at home until I dragged her out to do some shopping. It wasn't her idea, and she's still not well.
Yes, Diane was really sick last night.
Alan added.
She had a cold, and then she vomited, and she had a fever.
We're actually just back from the hospital with her.
Jessa said. Everyone made excuses for Diane.
Oh,
Albert said, raising an eyebrow.
What a supportive family. So Diane is sick, and your whole family took her to the hospital, and then you all decided to go shopping. So which hospital did you take her to?
They all looked at each other, not sure what to say. Then they all opened their mouths and spoke at the same time.
New York General Hospital?
The Western Hospital.
The Northern Infirmary.
East Side General.
They all looked at each other in annoyance. Why couldn't they get their story straight?
Amazing.
Albert said with a mocking smile.
She just has a cold, and yet she needed to visit for separate hospitals?
Well, Mr. Miller, you see.
Emily said, trying to recover from their mistake.
No need to explain. I already know what's going on here.
Albert said, refusing to listen to her excuses. Emily's heart sank, and everyone else looked worried. Diane had thrown away her chance for a promotion.
Mr. Miller.
Jeff said.
Yes.
Albert asked, his attitude immediately improving.
I needed some company, and I asked Miss Gonzalez to come for a stroll around the city.
Jeff said politely.
I apologize. I hadn't realized this would violate your rules.
oh,
Albert was shocked. He wasn't sure what Jeff meant. Diane had been standing beside Jeff the whole time and hadn't spoken up.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm sure this was just a misunderstanding.
Albert said, smiling awkwardly. He looked over at Diane and asked,
Miss Gonzalez, are you feeling better? I'm happy to see you taking such good care of our client. I hope you'll continue to work hard, and I'm sure you have a bright future.
Everyone gaped in shock. They didn't understand what was going on. They were all stunned.
What was this all about? Jeff, that loser, had explained it all away with just a few sentences. Why was Mr. Miller being so deferential to a poor student from Peston University?
Mr. Florento, please take a seat.
Albert said.
I have some details on those 2 apartment buildings I mentioned. Why don't you take a look? According to my estimate, they should cost around $125 million.
Diane's family stared in shock. If Jeff had said he wanted to buy an apartment building worth $125 million, they would have thought it was a joke. But it had been Mr. Miller who said it. As the manager of Metro Bank, Mr. Miller wasn't joking around with Jeff, and that meant that they were serious about the $125 million. Emily gasped when she thought about it.
Could Jeff have that much money?